Hello again, fellow audiophiles. I am Wave Theory, and these are the Ray 6SN7 Reserve vacuum tubes. These were sent over to me by Apos Audio. They generously lent me a matched pair. A single unit of these costs about $210 and a matched pair and matched quad options are also available for different prices. More info on that as the review unfolds. The link that you will see in the description below where you can buy these from Apos Audio will be an affiliate link. So if you like what I have to say about these and you're interested in buying them, please consider using those affiliate links and I will get a small kickback, and all of the money that I get for affiliate link money goes right back into supporting the channel. So that's a great way to support the channel. These, as far as I know, are a loan, but I'm going to lobby hard for them to let me keep these as a reference because in my mind and to my ears, these are basically reference caliber vacuum tubes. So why do I say such things? Well, please stick around after shameless self-promotion to find out.
Hello. I'm one of the reasons that Wave Theory can't spend all of his money on audio gear. He wants you to know that your support is vital for keeping the channel running. So if you enjoy Wave Theory's bussin' review riz and no-cap review style and want to encourage him to stay in the basement so I don't have to listen to his dad jokes as much, like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also send him a donation on PayPal or sign up for the Patreon. Links are in the description. Now on to the review.
All right, Ray 6SN7 Reserve vacuum tubes. The pricing on these for a single unit is $210. A matched pair, such as Apos was very kind to send me, is $480. And then a matched quad, if you have a vacuum tube device that needs 4 tubes, is $1,020. And what you may observe with that pricing structure there is that a matched pair is more than twice the price of a single unit, and a matched quad is more than 4 times the price of a single unit. And the reason for that is because they have to be matched by someone. Someone goes and puts these on tube measuring machines, make sure that they measure relative to each other within a very tight tolerance, because, I mean, this is their premium vacuum tube product. Okay, and then also on top of that, they have people do listening tests on these things too. So you have to buy the equipment and then pay the people who do that kind of thing, all that. So that's why the pricing is that way. Okay. My quick takeaway on these after we talk pricing is that these may very well be the best vacuum tubes that I personally have had the privilege of listening to. I have not gotten into like the super high-end stuff from like, what is it, Western Electric and Sophia and like all of those kinds of things. I mean, I haven't gotten into it quite that far, but these are probably the best I have heard so far. So let me just say a few words about them, and then we'll dig into the sound, and then I'll compare them to, like, when I say best tubes I've heard so far, what does that mean in comparison to what? We'll get into that too. Okay, so 6SN7, of course, and we see that it's got like this kind of thicker bottle shape to the tube and all of that, and what you'll notice right away is that there is like this metal coating just on the inside of the glass body of the tube here. Why the metal coating in there? I mean, best I can gather, and then this just checks out from a physics standpoint, is they're essentially built-in Faraday cages, right? Like, so like the metal paint or coating or whatever it is just inside, on the inside of the glass of this thing, surrounding all of the innards that you can see in there, acts as a Faraday cage, which helps block out, either reflect away or absorb a lot of radio frequency interference. Okay, why is that important in a vacuum tube? Well, the way vacuum tubes work is that they've got an element in there that basically just fires a bunch of electrons in response to the incoming electric signal, okay, to the other side of the tube, basically. Like, that's how it works. It takes an incoming signal that excites a bunch of electrons, and they go flying from point A to point B inside there. Really simplified version of it, of what goes on. And the number of electrons that flows there can do some amplification of the signal. Why does that matter? Well, individual electrons are super tiny, super light, and it's easy to knock them off course if you hit them with like a photon. What is a photon? A little tiny ball of energy. Any kind of visible light or radio frequency energy is also photons, right? And so by having this like protective layer on there, what you do is you like prevent radio frequency interference from like running into those electrons and knocking them off course. And then also the internal mechanism of these things, it doesn't happen often, but it is possible for the internal wiring and all of that to act like a radio antenna. So you protect those things by having this coating on the outside, okay? But I mean, other than that, it's a fairly standard 6SN7 tube build that, I mean, same kind of deal as like Apos Ray, the 6SN7 Select, which I have a review of and I will link to down in the description. There's also like a backstory behind Ray tubes and all of that. Like the Ray branding, what they are trying to do is like revitalize the audiophile vacuum tube part of the hobby. Or of the industry, like just bring tubes back, make them more common, more popular, and all of that. Because I mean, there is a magic to the sound of vacuum tubes, at least to this reviewer's ears, that some solid state devices can replicate, but not all, and so forth. And of course, not every vacuum tube amplifier has those magic qualities, but a lot of them do. Anyway, see the link down in the video below for the review of this, where I talk about the backstory of Ray tubes, and it's like, again, the Reserve is like their premium of that line. Okay. Same kind of form factor as this one. As you see, the one difference here in the build that I want to show you is, like, if you remember my review of this one, the Select here, I talked about how this base, this ceramic base right here where the pins are attached, is a little bit thicker in diameter than a lot of tubes. So if you have something like my Shit Saga preamp here that has a recessed tube socket down inside the chassis right there, like this one, the Select fits okay, but it's a little bit more difficult to get in and out. The diameter of the base here on the Reserve tube, if you can see it well, like kind of hard to see there, but it is a little bit less, so that problem does not exist on the Reserve here. Also, the Reserve tube overall is just a little bit smaller, just a little bit. It's shorter. Okay, so there could conceivably be a rare case where this may be a little bit too big for something, but this fits. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's get into the sound, and because these are pretty great. Okay, test gear that I used these on, I just showed you my Shit Saga preamp. Okay, use that. And then also you either have already seen it or it's going to be releasing very soon, but my review of the LTA Velo vacuum tube headphone amp and preamp. Those were the tube devices that I would use here, and then like I'm mostly a headphone user, so those would have, the Velo would have driven things like Hi-Fi-Man HE1000 SE, Focal Utopia, the original. My review of the Sennheiser HD620S is either already out or is coming up very soon. Like that got used on there a lot. And let's see, Headphone 2 would have been used as a headphone in the signal chain that had these in it as well. So a fair amount of stuff. Anyway, the sound signature on these mostly falls within the range. I think the vast majority of people out there to hear these would call them neutral. They fall within the range that I think is generally neutral in terms of perceived frequency response. These are not tubes that I readily notice, like noticeably change the tone or the tonal balance or the overall tonality of a piece. They are mostly neutral. What I did notice with them is that they really enhance the technical presentation of a lot of devices, but they also are very smoothed and relaxed and natural in the way that they do it. There's like an organic quality that these can add while still being technically excellent. So like the noise floor drops in comparison to a lot of tubes that are out there. So these have a very quiet sonic background, basically a virtually absent sonic background to them. They are very well resolving. The detail retrieval is excellent. The overall resolution is very, very good. The spatial holography, like the three-dimensionality of the soundstage, the imaging, the separation, the depth, the layering, all that, excellent on these. There's like they also can enhance like the dynamics a little bit. There's a good sense of bass heft to them, some good impact on kick drums and bass guitar string plucks and all of those sorts of things. So like the technical aspects of sound, these like can really enhance over a lot of the vacuum tubes that I have had the experience of using, and I'll show you several of them here in a moment. So just really excellent there. But then like it's smooth. There's a ton of clarity. There's a lot of clarity, but again, it's all smooth and organic and natural sounding. Like to me, there's just very, very little, if anything, to complain about with the sound of these, like for the price. Like tracks that are sibilant will still be sibilant, but they may not be as sharp or as piercing. So, I mean, there's still good air, but it doesn't feel unnaturally rolled off or anything like that. So, I mean, these are just excellent tubes. And yeah, we'll leave it at that for now. Let me just show you a few particularly new production tubes that I've had some experience with here that can make these comparisons perhaps a little bit more meaningful and contextualize them a little bit. Here are a few that I have been using recently. Tungsol 6SN7 GTB. There's a bunch of these around anymore because like before Russia's war with Ukraine anyway, a bunch of these were stockpiled by a bunch of manufacturers. So like these are still out there and still available for sale. And like this is like the stock tube on like a lot of Shit's tube products. If you order tubes with their gear there, also like the Black Ice, Aries, DAC amp and all that stock there. This is a very competent tube, but it's just kind of a basic, mostly neutral, maybe just a hint of warmth and thickness on this one, but not a lot, okay, kind of thing added, but like, just your kind of basic, almost stock-like kind of tube. Pavane Hi-Fi series, okay, a bit of a step up from the Tungsols, also mostly neutral, but a little bit better than these in like overall technical performance and all of that. The Ray Select, if you saw my review of those, pretty much a technical equal to this Pavane right here, their Hi-Fi series, but this one does change the tone of the sound. A little bit warmer than true neutral, a little bit thicker than like the normal natural sound, like that kind of thing too. Then here I have like the globe shape. This is the Pavane. Hi, you see my reflection there, okay? Like the Pavane Classic series, I believe. These are from, I'll put links down in the description where you can buy these and all of that. Like, again, mostly don't change the tone a whole lot. These mostly neutral, but they are like a technical step up from any of these three, okay? But the jump from even these right here, which I think are the best of this small little foursome here, okay? The jump like from these two, or I should say, the jump from the Tungsol to these two is noticeable, not huge. The jump from these two up to this one is a little bit bigger than this jump, okay, in terms of technical performance, I should say, like, the resolution, the holography, those kinds of things, tonal balance and whatnot, okay? But the jump from these two up to this one, a little bit bigger than the jump from here to here, okay, but not huge. But the jump from this up to the reserve tubes is actually fairly substantial. Like, so I liked the reserves over these, again, in terms of like the technical abilities, but also being smooth and natural and organic and non-fatiguing. Okay, I liked them quite a bit. Okay, So I don't know that I need to say a whole lot more than that. Like, are these worth the money? Yeah, probably. I mean, they're not super cheap, but you know, if you're getting up there to like the LTA Velo, and several other tube-based products that are up there where you're spending, you know, $2,000+ on your tube amp or your tube DAC or a tube pre or whatever, then yeah, like these really start to assert themselves in their overall quality and can be worth the money there. So good job to Ray on the you know, Apos and their Ray branding on these tubes. Whatever process you're doing to identify these and put them together is working. Very good, highly recommended. So I'm Wave Theory. This has been my review of the Apos Ray 6S-N7 Reserve vacuum tubes. Very good. All right, so please like, subscribe, comment. If you haven't already, check out my PayPal, my Patreon, and generally do those things you do to support YouTube channels. And as always, enjoy the music.